The G7 performance by our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, it was a clown show. Yes, and I've got some great clips to show you from that before we get into question period. Do you believe he actually upstaged U.S. President Joe Biden in terms of incompetency, craziness, insanity, inanity? He was the wacko of the hour, no matter what he did. Just can't leave the country without making an absolute jackass of himself, an absolute fool. By the way, thank you for those who came up to me on Saturday at the One Country Under God rally for children on Parliament Hill. Yes, thank you so much for saying you enjoy this broadcast that I'm doing here. Here's some great clips for you to show you here.
$1 billion loan guarantee for Ukraine. You're putting Canadian taxpayers on the hook for a lot of money here. How confident are you that that money will be recouped? And can you talk about kind of the risks of that not happening?
Russia invaded Ukraine and has caused billions of dollars worth of damage to infrastructure, to individuals, and on top of killing too many Ukrainians. We think that Russia should be paying for that, and that's why the freezing of Russian assets and the use of the profits from those assets to support Ukraine in its fight against Russia is the right thing to do.
It's not going to happen. It's over.
On the summit you're going to in Switzerland later today, Joe Biden won't be there. He's going to a campaign event in California instead. Obviously, Vladimir Putin's not going to be there. What are your expectations for what could come out of this? And is it really going to make any tangible difference to this?
There are close to 100 countries that have chosen to be part of this peace process. We need to see peace and stability in Ukraine as we need to see it around the world. And this is part of the effort that we all undertake to engage. I'm going to be focusing in particular on the issue of children stolen from Ukraine by Russia who need to be returned.
I also wanted to ask you about French President Macron has talked about building a coalition of countries to put trainers in Ukraine, military trainers potentially. What is Canada's view on that, and have you talked about that with the French president?
During this G7, we had many conversations about Ukraine, about how we need to continue to hold Russia to account for its illegal invasion, to make sure that Russia actually pays for the damage that it has done to Ukraine, the murder of so many civilians.
Russia invaded Ukraine because Ukraine invaded the Donbass region. Trudeau knows nothing about this. The war goes back to 2014. Trudeau is an idiot. Trudeau has no knowledge of foreign policy. Trudeau has no comprehension of what's going on in Ukraine. And to say that he's going to make Russia pay, what a moron, a complete moron. But I'll just let him exhibit his own insanity.
We're going to continue to make sure Ukraine is held to account. Russia is held to account for what it's doing.
Get it right, eh?
I'm Mr. Trudeau. Mackenzie Gray with Global News. Are there currently...
He doesn't even know which side of the equation he's on. Ukraine or Russia. He does this habitually.
Any MPs in your caucus that are named in the NSICOP report to be wittingly or semi-wittingly participants in foreign interference?
The issue of foreign interference is one that this government has taken incredibly seriously since 2015. We brought in the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians over the objections of the Conservative Party and indeed the strenuous resistance of the Harper government for years. We brought in a renewed NSIRA for oversight over our national security instances, and we created specific bodies of experts, of top civil servants to ensure the integrity of our elections. We've also called a number of different reports, including an ongoing report on foreign interference that we're working with right now to see how they can follow up on the NSICOP report.
We've heard from Mr. Singh and Ms. May. They have both said that there are no members of their party who are named in the report. So I'll ask you again, are there any current Liberal caucus members named in the NSICOP report that are wittingly or semi-wittingly participants in foreign interference?
I will allow Mr. Singh and Ms. May to speak for themselves.
Meaning, that's a yes. There are Liberals there. Probably a cabinet minister as well. Let me see. Which cabinet minister has close ties to China and is actually a member of a Chinese environmental group? Think twice.
Last question.
Hi, it's Annie Bertrand-Albert with CTV National News. Just going back on that, but why can't you say any more? Singh and May have both talked about this report and provided substantially more details than you have. So why are you unable to provide any details about what is in this NCCOP report?
I think it's important that Canadians have confidence in our ability collectively as a democracy to defend the institutions and the processes around our elections and our democracy. That is why officials are engaging with the foreign interference inquiry to see how they can follow up on the NCCOP report. Je pense que c'est important que les Canadiens puissent avoir confiance dans notre capacité de contrer l'ingérence étrangère.
All right, we don't need to hear the rest of that. Here's how Trudeau also reacted when asked about the spy report. He took a 5-minute break to have a hacking cough fit. This is hilarious.
On the NCCOP report, sir, yesterday you said in the NCCOP report that you have concerns with what the committee had done. Can you outline what those concerns are?
Well, I think one of the things that we have seen over the past number of years is a number of reports, a number of I am terribly sorry.
Take a minute.
I will take a moment.
Excuse me while I get some intelligence from my aide who's standing nearby.
Yeah.
You need to.
At least Doug Ford swallowed.
Sir, come over here.
What do you suppose he's doing there? Getting some talking points from his aide? Because he obviously did not read this report from this copy. He did not read this intelligence report. He got the first copy of the unredacted report. He did not read it. He has no clue what's in it. He's pretending it's not important. He's disappearing from the stage here. What a clown. This man is a buffoon on the international stage, an embarrassment. Just give away more billions of dollars to Ukraine, even though they're on the verge of collapse. The war is over, and every cent we're giving to them is going into military hardware that's been destroyed or that the corrupt politicians, including President Zelensky, have stolen, and they're leaving the country with it. There he is, getting some info. How do I respond to this question? Here he comes back for a second try.
Over the past number of years, Canada has brought in a significant number of measures and institutions and programs to counter foreign interference, from the creation of the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians to a strengthened National Security Oversight Agency to elections monitoring by top public servants and specific focus on democracy and elections by our intelligence communities. We've also had now 2 different inquiries into it, one from the Special Rapporteur, one an ongoing foreign interference inquiry. All of those elements together are contributing to a fuller picture that Canadians have, and all of us have, on the reality of foreign interference by many different countries into our democracy, as are happening around the world. Many of those conclusions and reports are varied in the conclusions they draw, in the level of assumptions and conclusions they make around what they say. The government has already highlighted there are a number of the conclusions of the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians report that we don't entirely align with. And that actually is demonstrated by the fact that 2 party leaders, both Elizabeth May and Jagmeet Singh, who read that report in its entirety, come to differing conclusions.
All right. Did you read the report? And to suggest that because 2 party leaders, one being Elizabeth May, leading a party of 2, whose judgment is highly suspect at the best of times, especially late in the afternoon, To suggest that that's a reason not to be worried about this report is insanity. This man is crazy. The question is, are there any Liberal MPs on the list? Are there any cabinet ministers on the list? What exactly does the list mean for Canadian security? Can you name anybody? Will you be working towards naming these MPs, or is every MP in the House going to be suspect? Can't answer any of these questions and just goes on and on and on about how concerned he is about Chinese election interference. Yeah, he's really concerned about it benefiting the Liberal Party because it has benefited the Liberal Party. We know that. He's done nothing to stop Chinese election interference. He was not way ahead of anybody on this.
The fact that, two party leaders, both Elizabeth May and Jagmeet Singh, who read that report in its entirety, come to differing conclusions on the interpretation of what it means. That demonstrates that there is a certain amount of responsibility that party leaders have to engage with this, which highlights that the decision by the Conservative leader and the leader of the official opposition to not get a security clearance, to not choose to even read the unredacted report before engaging in political attacks and oversimplifications is not responsible leadership. So we're going to continue to engage in a responsible way on this very, very important issue, and we thank and support the work done by NSICOP, even though some of the conclusions, as was highlighted by Minister LeBlanc, are not conclusions that we draw based on the actual evidence and intelligence that was received.
But can you be clear on this point? Can you be clear on this point?
Right, yes.
Is Canada open now to putting military trainers in Ukraine? Can you be clear on this point?
We have always been there to support Ukraine with what it needs. We are delivering light armored vehicles as we speak that Ukraine is in need of, and we continue to do training in many different locations. This is something that we will continue to be there for Ukraine on.
Last question.
Calling these peace talks seems...
Any last question?
Calling these peace summits seems overly optimistic.
Thank you very much, everyone. Sorry. We are continuing to follow the international institutions that we have. We continue to work and watch the work done with the ICC and the ICJ. Canada supports international law, and we always will. Merci beaucoup, tout le monde.
I'm going to move to a third clip because we're nearing, and how he really doesn't think anybody should be too concerned about the fact that we have witting traitors, witting treasonous MPs, witting spies in the House of Commons. Not a big deal.
Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава!
So there's your beloved MP. I think it's long live Ukraine. But what a cringeworthy moment. And another bit of the clown show from Justin Trudeau. Every time he leaves the country, whether it's for India or whether it's for London, where he was at the Queen's funeral, he makes an ass of himself. He makes a complete fool of himself. Thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the KRAYDEN resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station or a member through Substack, through YouTube, and now you can be a local as well, that's so important to us because I couldn't do this without you. I made a decision to become an independent journalist about a year ago because I wanted to bring all of my experience in the military, in journalism, to you. I don't promise anything I can't deliver. I don't offer clickbait. I offer truth. The truth is out there, and it's my job to bring that truth to light and to you. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right resistance, and we'll see you again soon. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.